Good morning, guys. I wanted to talk about today about being a workaholic. I was a workaholic for a very, very long time. And what that stemmed from is because I had a very hard childhood. I was homeless when I was a teenager. I will talk about that a little bit later on, but to make a very long story short, I became ward of the state. My parents were the state of Florida. I lived in foster homes. I went from foster home to foster home, and then I went through a because I ran away so much from the foster homes, they had to put me in a lockdown facility for teens, for a shelter home. And that's where eventually my mom came and got me. For those of you who know and follow my story, my mom and my dad separated when I was 6 years old. They got divorced when I was sick. My mom moved to New York with my sister Kay, and I stayed with my dad. Even though my mom fought tooth and nail to bring me to New York with her, she lost the battle, and I ended up staying with my dad. So I hadn't seen my mom from the age of 6 to about 13 years old. So when I was in this lockdown facility, that's when my mom came and got me, and that's how I ended up getting to know my mom and starting to have a relationship with her. So because of the type of life that I had between molestation when I was a child, and I experienced homelessness as a teen because I kept running away from these foster homes because I didn't want to get sexually abused at these foster homes, so I ran away. As a result of having such a hard childhood, I promised myself when I became an adult that I was never going to be homeless again, that I was going to provide for myself. I always had plan A, B, and C. If I lost my job, have 6 months of income, have a year month of income. I always had a plan. So because of that, I became obsessive compulsive about always providing for myself because I didn't want to depend on a man to take care of me. I walked around calling myself a strong black woman. I'm independent. I'm a boss lady, which is nothing wrong with that. But the problem is that independency is great, but interdependency is very important. It sends a message about your mental stability and your mental health and your emotional capability of entertaining anything vulnerable or anything God actually wants for your life. So I didn't understand what interdependency was. At the time, I thought that men only wanted independent women, and that's were the traits that attract a man. I actually targeted unconsciously and unintentionally targeted men to date that I kind of was more intelligent or made more money in some sense, on purpose, because I wanted to always feel control. Well, God was tapping me on my shoulders for a very long time to write a book and do all the things that He asked me to do, but I refused to do it because I was obsessed with working. Well, January of 2019, 9th to be specific, I lost my job. And I'm laughing, but it's not funny. It was one of the worst periods of my life because my job was my identity. I wasn't, without that, I felt lost. I felt like, who am I? Like I had to actually depend on people. It was one of the worst experiences of my life and the best experience of my life because I finally understood what interdependency was. I actually got sleep, this whole last year and a half, I've been sleeping more than 4 hours, getting 8 hours sleep. I may have difficulty sleeping for other reasons, but not because I'm a workaholic. And I wanted to make this video because I don't want women who are independent or are boss ladies and are working hard to build your business. Please don't feel like I'm attacking you or I'm trying to make you look bad because you work hard. This has nothing to do with that. This has to do with work-life balance. There's nothing wrong with being an entrepreneur. There's nothing wrong with making your money. There's nothing wrong with climbing up the ladder. There's nothing wrong with being a boss lady and a mom and a wife. You can do it all. But it's important that you understand that there has to be a balance in your life. You can't put all your focus on your family and just focus on your family and not focus on what God put you on this earth to do. And you can't also not ignore your spirit, and you can't also ignore your health. You have to find a way that works for you where you're balancing everything, where you're doing what God put you on this earth to do, because everybody has their thing. Everybody has their thing. Not everybody's meant to be an entrepreneur. Some people are meant to work. Whatever that thing is that you feel in your spirit that you were put on this earth for, the day you were born, and why you were born is very important. So whenever you find that reason and your passion, you go for it. You do it. For me, it's writing books. For me, it's inspiring people. For me, it's being transparent and sharing my life and helping people. That's my passion. That's what God has put me on this earth to do. I'm finally doing it. But God had to put me at rock bottom in order for me to do that. And I don't believe that you can only be obedient when God snatches everything away from you, because before he does that, he whispers in your ear, he sends people in your life, or he talks through people, talk through messages to tell you to follow your purpose. You don't have I'm making this video because if for someone who God has been whispering to you, stop working so hard, take some time, spend some time with your family, you know, work-life balance. This is the video. If you were looking for a confirmation, this is it. There is a way where you can work hard and be a boss lady, be a wife, and be a mom. And if you're not a mom and you don't have kids, there's a way of being a boss lady and being in a relationship. And if you're single and you don't have nobody, there's a way of being a boss lady or a boss man and have a social life and enjoy your life. And so I don't want what God did to me that he has to do to anyone else. When God taps you on the shoulder, because he does, before he snatches everything away from you, not to hurt you, but to teach you so you can go through the process, there's always this whisper. There's always this good confirmation, something you saw, something you read, something you heard, and we ignore it. And when we don't follow through what God is telling us to do, he's going to slap us across the head. And for me, he had to slap me across the head and snatch my job, because before he snatched my job, guys, God told me clear as day to write that book. When I tell you the message couldn't be any clearer to write that book, the message could be even clearer that I need you to use your life to impact people. The message couldn't even be clearer. I chose to chase the money. God was like, oh yeah? He snatched that away from me. And when I lost a job, I had no choice but to write the book. I kicked and I screamed, but I wrote it. It was one of the hardest things that I had to do. I'm in the process of writing my second book right now. And I'm no longer tiptoeing, no longer having fake humility, no longer struggling with people pleasing, worrying about what people tell me. Like this morning, for example, I had one of the roughest morning ever. I woke up and the first thing I was going to do is make this video. And then all of a sudden, me and this lizard, I'm fighting the final lizard, which took me off schedule. I didn't even have time to write my devotional this morning. But I was like, no matter what, I'm going to do it. The old me would find any excuse to not do something, because I knew that in order to live in my purpose, that I had to go through the process. And the process is not easy. Get your paper, get your money, do your thing, because this is not about not working hard, because lazy people, it ain't gonna work. Lack of discipline and having no motivation and not doing what you're put on this earth to do, your life ain't gonna work, no matter what you do. A purposeless life is a life that's not worth living. So this is not about, shaming anybody, or shaming moms for working, or shaming a man for working too hard. This is not about that. This is about being a workaholic, meaning that you work so much that nothing else in your life is getting the attention it needs, that your only priority in life is work. There's no work-life balance in your life, and it is possible. It just means that something you have to take away from something to give to something else. Okay? And you don't have to get snatched like I did and got slapped across the head like I did, and get your life put at rock bottom in order to finally sit still. I'm a busybody. I'm an extrovert. I talk a lot. And, I was never home. I was always at some event, doing something, going somewhere, on a trip, on a plane, on a this, on a that. I only wanted to date guys that I can control. That's funny. Can't do that now. I only wanted to date guys that I made more money than, or I was a little smarter than, I could negotiate better. can do that now. So, God has a funny way. God's sense of humor is really, really funny, but the great thing about it, when I got therapy and I was able to, this is why therapy is important. When I sat down and got real therapy, I had more time on my hand when I lost my job. I could have therapy as much as I want. The great thing about therapy is that you connect the dots. I found out the reason why I was a workaholic is because I was so scared of being homeless. And the reason why I targeted certain men is because I always wanted to have control, and I didn't want that man to have control over me. But interdependency was one of the best things that ever happened to me. So I just wanted to make this video is that if you don't have work-life balance in your life, to look to have work-life balance, because workaholic means you're focusing just on working and your family is not getting the attention they need, your purpose is not getting the attention they need, your health is not getting the attention you need, and maybe even your finance is not getting the attention you need. So this is a video, it's not really about workaholic, it's about work-life balance.